Meghan posted two photographs to her own Instagram on Wednesday afternoon to mark her son Archie's 7th birthday. The first one is a printed copy of an image from 2019, Harry on a couch, a sleeping newborn on his chest, the whole thing held up in Meghan's own hand for the camera. A photograph of a photograph, a copy of a copy. The second image is a back-of-the-head shoreline shot of two small children wading toward the water, walking sticks in hand, mountains in the distance, no faces visible at all. And the British press has already worked out exactly what is missing from that frame. But today we are covering the cryptic shoreline photograph Meghan dropped on Archie's 7th birthday and the portrait standoff that produced it, the empty-sided table at Highgrove that royal photographer Chris Jackson accidentally caught on his Instagram stories this week, the Mr. Mom line landing in the British press right now, the balaclava and getaway car incident Andrew was caught up in 48 hours ago at Sandringham, and the trustee resignation letter that just hit a London courtroom in the Sentebale defamation case. Welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Let's get down to it. So let me set up what landed on Archie's birthday, because the construction of this post is the entire story. It is a two-image carousel. Image 1 is a baby photo printed and held in Meghan's hand on camera, dated 2019, of Harry asleep on a couch with a newborn on his chest. The British press are calling it a previously unseen baby picture, and the framing in every single outlet from Hello to Marie Claire to E-Online is the same. The photograph is safe to publish in 2026. The explanation runs because the 7-year-old in California today does not look like the baby in that photograph anymore. So maybe the translation is the brand team have signed off on the only face in the post on the grounds that the face no longer exists in real life. Well, image 2 is the shoreline shot. Archie and Lily walking away from the camera, hand in hand, facing the water, mountain ridge in the distance. Archie is carrying a long walking stick. Both children are reddish blonde. And the outlets are quick to point out the Diana Ginger inheritance. The only public confirmation we have ever been given that the children look very much like their grandmother. And both children in the only contemporary frame Meghan was willing to let the public see and pointed in the wrong direction for the camera. So, this is the second consecutive year Meghan has done a back-of-the-head birthday post for her son. Last year it was a sunset silhouette in pajamas, also turned away. This year is the shoreline. So the pattern is now official sausage post-production policy. The official portrait Meghan reportedly wanted, a Wales-style soft light frame, the kind Princess Catherine has been quietly releasing for 15 years, is the portrait Harry reportedly killed in the kitchen this week. He is, according to multiple British insiders, terrified that branding the children's faces alongside the, I'm gonna say it again, $64 candle on the As Ever shopping cart triggers the palace lawyers to start drafting the letter's patent revisions. So, the compromise the household actually shipped is the post we got. A photograph of a baby who isn't not that baby anymore, and a photograph of two children walking the wrong way down the beach. The face is on the candle. The candle is in the cart, and the only person allowed in the live frame is the version of Archie who exists in printer's ink on an old Polaroid Meghan keeps in a kitchen drawer. But speaking of photographs, let me tell you about a very different one that just disappeared from a very different home. Royal photographer Chris Jackson, that legend, the man who has photographed every working royal, every wedding, every christening, every state occasion of the last 2 decades, visited Highgrove this week to host an event. He posted a couple of Instagram stories from inside the house, just snapshots, the kind of thing the King's press office does not bed line by line. And eagle-eyed royal fans noticed something extraordinary about a small wooden side table in one of the Highgrove sitting rooms. The wedding photograph that has lived on that side table for almost 80 years, Harry and Meghan on the steps of St. George's Chapel in 2018, was gone. It is no longer there. In its place, 2 new framed pictures. One of Harry alongside his father and his older brother, taken back when the 3 of them still pose for photographs together, and one of King Charles cradling a small blonde Prince Louis in his arms. Now, Highgrove is not a museum. Charles is allowed to swap the photographs on his own side tables whenever he likes. Hello Magazine made the polite case overnight that the wedding photograph may simply have been moved to another room, maybe the basement. That is the polite case. But here's the impolite one. Charles curates Highgrove personally. He chooses every plant. He approves every paint color. The side table arrangement in that particular sitting room is one of the most considered displays in any royal residence in Britain. Nothing on those tables is accidental. So the smoking gun comparison came from the influencer Lydia Millen, who filmed the exact same room during a Highgrove visit in 2024. The sausage wedding photograph is plainly visible in her footage. 12 months later, it is replaced by a frame of Charles and his youngest grandson on his lap. The week of Archie's 7th birthday, 24 hours after Meghan's shoreline post. While the king is hosting the garden party of the season and the country is making the 3rd anniversary of his coronation, the Highgrove photo display is one of the most considered communication devices the king owns. And the message it just sent, that one does not require a press release. But speaking of marriages that are not what they look like in the photographs, Rob Shutter, the veteran tabloid journalist who has been covering the sausage operation for almost a decade, sat down on Maureen Callahan's podcast this morning, and the line that came out of it was the British press in stitches. According to Shutter's reporting, Harry and Meghan are now, in his framing, living completely separate lives inside the same Montecito estate. It's a good thing that is big enough. But it seems that they have different friend groups, different social circles. And in the line that the Daily Beast and Reality Tea have both led with overnight, they do not, in his analysis, share any common interests apart from the sausage brand itself. And I wonder, did they ever share any interests for real? Well, apart from the sausage brand, the marriage is the merger. The merger is, the marriage itself. There is, in Shutter's framing, no interior life left to the relationship outside of the As Ever website, the Diana clothing line in development, the one-off fashion app, and the legal entity that is the surname Sausages. And Harry, in the same reporting, has been quietly redesignated within the household as the resident Mr. Mom, doing the school runs, doing the bath times, doing the chicken coop content while his wife is on a Zoom call with the compacteuse chocolatier. Now, Mr. Mom is not in itself an insult. 6 years ago, Harry was the Captain General of the Royal Marines and the public face of every veterans charity in the Commonwealth. 2026, Harry, according to Shutter, is doing the breakfast-packed lunch while the one-off fashion app uploads 4 outfits in the background. So I guess the masthead has changed. The brand stays the same, and the wife, the wife is reportedly running it without the husband in any of the operational meetings. Now, Harry is busy in other stuff. So the tabloid kicker came from a separate reality piece this same morning. The Wales family of 5 anniversary photograph that hit the wires this past weekend has been doing real damage in Montecito. An insider close to Harry told the Daily Mail that watching William and Catherine on a picnic blanket with 3 children, 3 dogs, and a future king beaming into the camera lens has left Harry, in the source's framing, very sad indeed. Sad that his children are missing out on cousins. Sad that they are missing out on grandparents. Sad that they are missing out on the family network the Wales children take for granted. The gingerbread is, by his own briefer's admission, watching the relatives he walked away from on Instagram and feeling the wallpaper close in. Tough luck, Harry. So now let me take you to a country lane in Norfolk on Wednesday evening just after 7:30, because while Meghan was loading her shoreline carousel onto Instagram and the world was looking the other way, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was caught up in something generally serious. Norfolk police were called to Wolverton, just outside the Sandringham estate, and Andrew, who is 66 years old, was walking the dogs along a quiet lane near his new permanent residence at Marsh Farm. The dogs are the late Queen's Corgis. He inherited them from his mother. He walks them in the evenings, and according to the police statement, a man wearing a balaclava was sat about 50 yards down the lane in a parked vehicle. As Andrew approached with his protection officer, the masked man got out of the vehicle, started shouting, and began advancing on him. So Andrew and his protection officer reached their car and drove off at speed, just in case. The masked man chased on foot, and by the time the police arrived, the suspect was apprehended and is now being held at the King's Lynn Police Investigation Center on suspicion of a public order offense and possession of an offensive weapon. So Andrew is described in the police statement as shaken. He and the protection officer are giving statements. Andrew was moved out of the 30-room Royal Lodge last month and downsized into Marsh Farm in the wake of the most recent round of Epstein disclosures. The brief from the palace was that Marsh Farm was the right size for the dogs and the right size for the security envelope, and 48 hours after Charles hosted the garden party of the season at Buckingham Palace, his younger brother is in a country lane being chased by a masked man with what the police are calling an offensive weapon. So whatever Andrew is and is not, the protection officer drew his salary because the institution still believes he's worth protecting from genuine harm. So the palace is currently silent, and the working family who spent 48 hours hosting tea on the lawn for emergency services volunteers is about to spend the next 48 hours dealing with whatever comes out of King's Lynn. Oh well, finally to the courtroom, because the Sentebale defamation case Harry and Mark Dyer are facing in the High Court in London just produced one of the most damaging document disclosures of the entire 2-year saga. A previously unseen trustee resignation letter from March 2025, signed by Mark Dyer himself and 5 other Sentebale trustees, has now been published into the case file. The document explains in the trustees' own carefully drafted language that they had unanimously decided to step down after months of raising what they describe as significant concerns about the conduct of the new chair, Dr. Yeah, you guessed it right, Sophie Chandauka. The trustees frame their resignations as the only remaining route to protect the charity, the staff, and the children in Southern Africa whose work the charity exists to fund. So Dr. Chandauka has continued to characterize Harry's exit as harassment and bullying at scale. The British press has been working that line for 14 months, and the inconvenient receipt that has just landed on the docket is the August 2025 ruling of the United Kingdom Charity Commission, which investigated the entire dispute, examined every allegation on every side of the table, and concluded in the regulator's plain language that there was no evidence of widespread bullying or harassment by either party. So the regulator pretty much cleared everyone. The charity is suing anyway. And the trustee resignation letter that has just been disclosed into the High Court file describes a 6-month internal escalation in language that reads less like a coordinated smear campaign and more like 6 volunteers trying to get out of a building in good order. The methane wing of the operation has spent 14 months telling the world that the living was the crime. The living letter just told the High Court that the living was the only sane move left in the room. But again, let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Much love and bliss.